TheyGo, the first show to know when it comes to FPV and RC info. Broadcasting from TheyGo Studios, covering these rapidly growing sensations of both drones and RC cars. Without further delay, your hosts, Zach Morris and the Big Shane.
Hey everybody, welcome to TheyGo, the show that brings you news, interviews, tech tips, both RC cars and drones. I'm Zach Morris, and with me, the Big Shane.
Hello there.
And today we've got a great show. Shane, what's in store?
We have an electrifying episode today, Zach. It's going to be crazy. We have Mark from Dinogy batteries here. He makes some crazy batteries. They're nuts. Like he's been blowing up in the whole scene of the battery technology stuff, and all of our people run it that we know and that are affiliated with. Everybody's running these things now. And especially in the quad drone world,
right?
It's one of the pinnacle batteries to have and be running with our quads. They're lasting for a really good time. He knows his stuff. He's very informative, and not only that, but he's local here, and that's pretty cool to have.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I know we usually go in a little discussion, but you know, it's super awesome to be a part of the drone community here. And before we came on the show today, I was involved with this group message, and I don't think you've got a chance to see it, but the local community, right? So there's this guy, he's flying with us, and today on Facebook he posts, hey guys, I'm selling 2 of my drones. I need to buy some new fat sharks. And so I get this crazy message, my phone's blowing up.
That's what was happening earlier, right?
And I'm like scrolling through and I'm reading it, and the whole community, which is super awesome, is they're like, hey, we don't want him to sell his stuff. He's selling his stuff, someone's trying to buy it on Saturday. I'm pitching in $20 to get him some new goggles, and
Hold
this
on
guy's
a
all
second.
pitching 40, 50.
You're not letting him out? You're locking him into this this industry?
He's thinking he's selling his drones just to buy new goggles because he can't fly right with his goggles, and they're all chipping in, and they're like, hey, I got $20, I got $10, I got $5, and it's awesome to be a part of that whole community atmosphere. And we always, you know, oh, it's a cool community, but to actually be involved with this and
you're seeing it firsthand.
See it firsthand,
yes.
And be involved, and this guy doesn't even know. You know, he's trying to sell his drones, and he's asking, you know, $450. That's the price of a set of fat sharks. And they're all, let's get all together for this weekend's race so we can just surprise them. And like, hey, dude, here's your fat sharks, or here's your money towards your fat sharks. That's pretty cool. And that's pretty awesome to be on that.
The coolest part is nobody even went out of their way and to go. Their ego wasn't based in there and said, I'm going to go tell them, you know, what we're doing and really make them feel special. You know what? I bet you he doesn't even know what's going on. I saw this group message right before we came out here to start filming for the night. And I couldn't really read everything, but I was like, man, what is going on? My phone is blowing up. And this is amazing that this is happening with the drone community. And I really wish this can be pushed off into the RC car community as well.
They need to start taking some notes, right?
I've seen it before, and this can happen again. So let's keep it strong in our community, and this is awesome. And let's shoot up into this interview with Mark from Dinogy Batteries. Hello guys, we're here with Mark Fiera, one of the best guys in the industry of battery technologies. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Mark. What do you do for this industry?
Oh, I sell the batteries, but I've been into RC for 28 years. I've been into racing RC boats for 25 years. I've been flying RC airplanes for 16 years. I race pylon planes. So the hobby has been my love most of my life, and I found a way to make money in my hobby.
Labor of love almost.
Yeah, I was sponsored by Thunder Power for the boat racing scene, and when I found what I thought was a better battery, I took a leap and started the company. I'm the North American distributor for the brand, and we just continue to make improvements as time goes on.
We know that you have some of the best batteries out there on the market right now. There's lots of local people here in town that are using your batteries, and all over the world.
Yes.
I've noticed this uprise in battery usage, especially in the drone world.
Yes.
People are using these 1,500 packs, typically 4 cells, sometimes 3 cells, and it's just been the latest craze, and this stuff has just been blowing up, taking off. It's an explosive revolution that we have going on now in today's drone world. And I'm sure this is helping your business. And then also people are wanting better and more power and more stuff to happen with these things.
Exactly. And one of the things we did last year is we came out with the fiberglass plates. drone racing, it's all about crashing.
There's a lot
you
of
destroy
crashing
batteries
involved with the drone racing.
You know, batteries don't last long in drone racers because they crash and they hurt their batteries, especially in the garage where you're running into concrete all the time. Yeah. The plates really help with that. When I see the racers, they show me their box of batteries and they're like, look at all these batteries, they're all puffed and yours are the ones. And the plates really help. They help prevent puffing and they also help protect the battery in the crash.
I will say that I've got a handful of your batteries and I've got some other brands and everything, and they've all puffed and stuff. I'm like, I'm not driving or flying crazy. I'm not charging right. Yep. You know, and I fly your batteries and they're still not puffed, and I'm amazed by that. Yep. And the carbon fiber plates is
that's a big part of it. My new graphene battery, it's a higher energy density lithium. The graphene itself, it just makes batteries, everything about them better. The electrons flow through better. They're lighter.
What is graphene? Can you explain that?
Graphene is a honeycomb of lattice carbon atoms, basically.
There we go. That's the answer I wanted to hear. That's perfect.
It conducts electrical energy better than anything known to mankind.
Okay.
It's also lighter weight, so it's.
So you're able to have the same, more punch, and then in a lighter weight.
Exactly, and even though there's batteries with the name graphene on them, the real graphene still really hasn't hit the market. They're still trying to find a way to use it. Batteries, we started calling them nanotechnology 3-4 years ago. We had the nanotechnology in the carbon tubes. Well, technically that falls in the graphene terminology.
Right.
Because it's in the carbon?
Yeah, it's the way it was.
Is it somewhere close to like carbon fiber, except for we know that carbon fiber.
It's a carbon base.
We know that carbon fiber will take. You could take power to it, and it will transfer the power. It is conductive, correct?
It's conductive, yeah.
So now this material is conductive, and the most conductive.
It is, and how to get it to stick to the plates has been the challenge, and they're working on it.
So now you said you went from Thunder Power and you found a brand and you're stuck with it. What made the decision to actually start wanting to be in the industry portion of it?
Because I race, and when I started racing, all the racers had called me up and said, "What's these new batteries I hear you're running? Can I get a couple?"
Right.
So that's where it started. And then my friends, like, going, "You should sell these." I was national champion in 1998 in the boat world, so I was well known in the boat racing community.
Okay.
So because of that, and I had enough people ask me to get some, I took a chance and I started with 4 sizes.
Okay.
And I was just going to sell to the boat guys. And even though I flew airplanes, I was just going to take
this
was just going to make me a little money to help my hobby, cover my hobby. That's all this was meant to be. And once it started, it just blew up, and then everybody wanted them, and then everybody started going, "What about this size? What about that size?" Every month I was adding 3 to 5 sizes, and I eventually grew to 100 sizes.
That's crazy.
Over a year and a half's time. So what started out just to make me a little money on the side to help pay for my hobby turned into a business.
Now you actually you do warranty these batteries that I was seeing.
Yes, I do. I give 6 months. If you get a battery bad from the factory, 99% of the time it's going to show itself in the first 3 to 5 cycles.
Okay.
You'll either get one cell go bad or one cell will puff for no apparent reason. If you get it, if it goes 6 months and something goes bad, there's a number of reasons why a battery can go bad. The biggest one, running it down too low, which quad racers do routinely.
No, never.
Airplane guys and jet guys.
We got to bring it home,
very
man.
rare.
We don't want to go out and chase it, so we got to bring it home.
And trust me,
and we run it to the last.
I've been doing this a long time, and nobody's burned up more stuff than me, and I still discharge my batteries. I'll be out flying my jet, chasing another friend around, and forget about runtime. And all of a sudden, dead stick. When you hit dead stick, you just went too far. The battery still works. It starts the puffing process when you over discharge. You have less runtime and a little less power under load, but they still work. So that's why you see people with puff batteries, they still work. And that's fine. The thing you need to look out for is the battery, the balance, the battery balance. As long as all the cells are balanced, the battery's okay.
I've bought in some cheaper cells from China before in the past, and discovered that they were good when they came, They came at a half charge. That's typical
Correct.
storage
Right.
base for lipos. And then I would charge it full charge. I would run it one time. I would bring it back, and the cells would be completely off balance, and then it would take forever. And then usually on that time, I would find a bad cell would occur.
Right.
After 2 or 3 runs. I'd bring it back to the charger, and I would see that cell would be completely off than the other ones. And I would find that in a lot of these cheaper batteries from these subsidiary companies.
It is. In the early days, they just made the cells, and then they made the packs out of the cells.
And then they would be B grade. I
And
didn't know
and
this
there
at
would
the
be
time.
B grades, and that's where the ones went to eBay.
Yeah,
And that's where the dirt cheap batteries. And for somebody who's got something that's just trying to power a radio, it's fine. You know, he doesn't need any energy. He doesn't need the power.
It's
There's
not
a
looking
place
for
for
that
the cheap
Amtrol.
batteries.
Sure.
You know, it helps some people on a budget. It helps them get into the hobby, and then they find out if they like it or not. You know, but nowadays, the better factories, we cycle the cells before we make the packs, and all the bad cells are picked. And my factory destroys them.
Okay.
There is no B cells for my factory. They don't want the bad rap of the B cell coming back. They're all
they
destroyed.
don't want that name behind them.
So my failure rate is less than 1%.
That's pretty excellent
Yeah.
out there.
So when I get one, I know if it's fairly new, I know it's not you.
Right.
You know, I need a picture, and you'd be surprised people send me a picture and the battery's a
It's just
sausage.
smashed.
Yeah, it's a sausage, and it's so
crushed.
puffed.
It's got the
you
dented
know,
mark on the side.
Yeah,
of it.
and that's not like, dude, no. But if it still looks new, and you can show me that there's a bad cell, you get a new battery.
Now we keep talking about batteries and stuff. We're way off track here. We didn't even tell everybody yet who you are and what you represent. You've broken world records. We got it. You've been in this sport since the '80s, right?
Yep.
I mean, you were first discovering some of these cells and these batteries. You were running
Yeah,
nickel
I was
metal back
back in
then. Breaking records.
1700 milliamp nickel metal batteries was the latest and greatest when I got into boat racing. That was almost 25 years ago.
I think when I got into RC cars, I think Lipos just came out, and I think with the little mini 18s at the time, they were still running the nickel packs and those things because they didn't have any batteries for them. But now with the new Lipo technology, this is crazy.
It is.
You know?
It just,
and then you have some crazy history. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You have crazy history with this sport and the boat thing. You've completed so many events. Let's talk about some of these events that you've done. You've done boat worlds. I'm assuming you're.
Yeah, I've traveled the country and raced in national events. I put on the first electric-only straight line event, which is for just straight speed. One boat out in the water, timing system.
And before you, nobody has ever done that before, correct? You were
No,
you were the kind of the godfather of that. You started that whole.
No, the event existed, but it was nitro gas and electric.
Okay.
And it was a lot of people showed up,
Combined.
and you didn't get the water. You didn't get very much water time. And
That's what we were talking about earlier.
And nickel metal is your first 2 passes were your best passes, and then at your 3rd pass you were going slow. So we were in the water less than a minute or a couple minutes
for the whole weekend that you're there.
Yeah,
right?
and then the gas guy'd go out there and go back and forth 40 times.
That's not
until he
fair,
runs out
right?
of gas. Then you got to wait for him to go get the boat. So I started the first electric only, and it was worldwide. We had people from Germany, Sweden, Alaska, all over the world came to it.
Now you've also broken some records and everything.
I've broken close to a dozen world records in speed.
Any of them still standing today that you know
I believe
of? Or?
I do have 1 or 2 still
Okay.
standing, and that's probably just because no one else has gone after it. There's close to 30 classes. The classes vary from 2-cell, 4-cell, 6-cell, 8-cell, and 10-cell. And then besides
And then
that,
different
that's
boats, right? You
that's
got
the different power.
platforms of boats.
Then there's
flat
hydro.
bottoms, tri-hulls, and
There's monos, hydros, tunnel hulls, riggers, sport hydros, scale hydros.
And you did this all at a time when nickel was the hotness back then,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
how many nickel cells did you say you were running at that one event where you took the title?
I ran 12 nickel metals.
12 nickel metal cells.
And,
Do you know the weight on that? I mean, that's crazy to think of the weight difference between a lipo cell of today and the old nickel cell.
Yeah, that's equivalent to a 4-cell lipo, and I was at least double the weight.
Yeah. It's
and
brick.
energy density was probably half the power of a lipo.
Now we've had lipos for a lot of years. Do you ever see lipos going away? What's the next little
I don't see lipos going away because what keeps coming for lipos is charging to a higher voltage.
Some of these high voltage packs.
The
that
high
I see coming
voltage
out.
batteries you see, they're all, when you charge a battery to the higher voltage 435, all batteries can tolerate it. The fire that people worry about happens around 4.6, 4.7. So any battery can handle 435. It's not, I don't recommend it,
Right.
but it just severely cuts your cycle life down.
It's going to kill the batteries.
Yeah, in short order. And to a racer who buys new batteries every year, he probably doesn't care. If you're going for a world record,
You're going to
Heck
overcharge.
yeah.
the
Right.
heck out of that
to
thing.
where you know now in the cars, it's overcharging is not allowed.
Yes.
Preheating the batteries. Temperature is huge. Battery temperature of a lipo is huge. The running temperature of a lipo is 84 to 106 degrees.
And-
People
And
don't
that is
realize.
allowed. This is allowed. People don't realize that you can charge, or you can charge your battery normal, and then just make sure that you heat it to this optimal
Correct.
temperature
Correct.
between, what was it again?
84 and 106 is optimal running.
And if you can heat that battery pack up to that, and then go ahead and put it in your quad or your RC car, it's going to be at optimal temperature as it goes in the car,
As
no
a-
matter the determination.
Exactly.
Of
As a boat
temperature
racer,
around you.
I use a electric ice chest that plugs into your cigarette lighter. They have a button for warm. They're also warming functions, and it works off 12 volts. I used to bring a car battery to the race to recharge batteries, and I would have my ice chest going.
Heating the
Takes a
batteries.
couple hours. We like them at 100 degrees.
Now, what about for storage? Some people say, I've heard this, I keep my batteries in the freezer or the refrigerator. The refrigerator has moisture. We see moisture on our
Yeah.
glasses here. And the freezer is not. I don't know about that.
The
I've never
optimum
done that.
temperature for storing lipos is like under 70 degrees, but above 50. For refrigerators is okay. Freezers are bad. Freezers, they wreck the electrolyte inside. The electrolyte can crack inside from freezing. So people putting them in the refrigerator, they're okay. The freezers, no. That's definitely not good for the lipo.
Now, what made you go from doing the boat thing and everything to into the drone atmosphere? How did that gap? Because I know you said
Because
you were
I'm a
flying.
racer, and I met some of the local guys here, bought some of my batteries, and said, you know, we race over at this park this weekend, and I went and visited. And being a racer at heart, I go, oh, I got to do this. You guys, we had racing in LA, where I came from in Los Angeles, 4 or 5 races a year. We don't have any racing out here in boats. You guys don't have pylon racing like we do in San Diego. So the
more
only
people, and it's just better climate. I mean, here it gets crazy.
And I just anything fast. I love it. So the drone racing, I'm still trying to get over wearing goggles. I'm line of sight, and
I
put
can't
the
fly
goggles
line
on.
of sight. That's hard. I don't know how you guys
To
do
me,
it.
line of sight's easy. It's the goggles is hard. So I just got into FPV flying, and we just went flying this weekend out in the desert with a few people, and that's a little easier for me because I'm flying high above an airplane, and I know how airplanes
You
fly.
can correct yourself.
I know how, yeah.
Up
Where
high.
the quad, it's a, it's a flying helicopter.
Yeah.
It's a
And
different.
it's instantaneous. So you're flying in
Yeah.
a garage or in these tight little spaces that some of these guys do. It's crazy.
Yeah, I won't even
the
fly in
speeds.
there. I go to open parks where there's no people.
Yeah. That way
If
nobody
I
gets
see
hurt.
if I see one with a dog walking,
Oh man,
I
I'm
wait till she's
grounded.
gone.
Yeah, do
I
I have
know.
clearance?
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
trust.
a little
So,
tough.
so I'm just a racer at heart. I've been my whole life.
Awesome. That was another question that I was going to get into, and it was should have been first. But what was your passion as a young man? I mean, did this drive you to get into this sport? What was your
Yeah, I
passion?
was into the Cox U-Control airplanes. I had Cox Dragster. I had Cox. Before remote control, I just loved the hobby of.
How'd you get involved? I mean, what brought you into it? Was it a day that maybe Dad took you to the track or something like that? Maybe somebody.
It was probably
introduced
seeing
it?
one at a park.
And
I
then-
think
and
seeing
then
a guy at a
I'm
park,
in
and
it.
I just said, "Oh wow, that looks so cool." Seeing the little Cox U-Controls was. I
The
think
Cox
that-
U control, for those that don't know what that is, what is that exactly?
It's a airplane that runs off wires, and it's held together by rubber bands.
I remember these things.
And so when it crashes, it falls apart. You just rubber band it back together and fire their engine up.
I remember you got your little tank of gas, and you went out there with your
It was
little
just full
jet
throttle.
fuel as a kid. Yeah, it's just wide open, like and it would just take off and be gone. And you would get dizzy, and then then you're done, right?
And you're just
and
waiting for the gas to run out.
Lean out and just be done.
Yeah, you're praying for the gas to run out.
But at least it didn't fly away and hit the neighbor's house and hit the dog or whatever was going on, you know.
So yeah, at a very young age, I've been in this my whole life.
And that was the driving factor for you to now do it. I mean, look how 30 years later, you know, that you're still into this thing.
I got into boats because I lived in an apartment complex that had streams. And my neighbor had a Little Miss Budweiser, and I saw him zipping down the stream, and I go, that is way too cool. And so I got a boat, then we became who can make our boats faster.
Right.
And then the hobby shop told me, he goes, you know, they race these boats in LA, which was 15 miles from where I lived. They race the boats on the weekend. So I went down to the race, and then once I watched them race, they were so nice, and they helped me get my first boat. They helped me set it up. It was just great. And then we raced twice a month, 10 months a year.
That's awesome.
And then once a year was the Nationals, and the guy with the most wins at that race got the national champion trophy, which I got in 1998. So
Well, that's great.
I did good right out the gate. I was, so you know, it's a knack. You have it or you don't sometimes. And right now with quads, I don't.
You'll get there.
But
I mean, we have such an awesome community here that will bring us together and help you with the future battery technology and determining factors on how hard that we're running these things.
Yeah, and I'm sponsoring pilots here, and they're
I was
going
to say, is there a team behind? You got a couple people
that
you might want to
Rogers,
mention? Yeah, there you go.
Flies my batteries. Lester, Edel likes my batteries.
Yeah.
I got guys.
Awesome guy.
When I go to a race, half the racers seem to have some of my batteries in their box with the mix.
I have a few actually too, which is crazy, and this is nuts. We'll get back into this a little bit more right after this commercial break.
Hey guys, so we're back. So with lipo safety and all of that, what are some of the things that we can do as racers and stuff to make sure that we're safe with our lipos?
Yeah, the biggest thing with lipos is charging and discharging. Overcharging, what people want to do, because it does make you go faster, kills the battery. So 419 versus 420, the experts say that gives you more cycles if you're not going crazy and trying to go break a record. It's advisable. But the biggest thing is over discharge. People run them down too low. When you stop running your battery, you should have a battery checker. I always tell people, this should be a tool in your box. You plug it into your battery. If you're below 3.7, you're screwing up your battery, period. You need to be 3.75, 3.8.
Keep it above those levels.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to kill a cell.
80% is 3.75. 3.7 is, you're getting down 90%. So when you come back and your battery's at 3.4 or 3.3 or 3.6, that's just shortens your life cycle.
I'm the guy that comes back with a 3.0 and under, and sometimes have to charge
that
some
starts
nickel.
the puffing process. That shortens your life cycle. Running your batteries in the cold. I've been here a year now, and in the garage it was in the 40s, and nobody was warming their batteries up, and they were running them at 40 degrees, and the quads pull lots of amps, and they're going. I noticed that my batteries aren't lasting very long.
Well, you're going from 40 degrees up to 100 degrees.
Yeah,
That's a big spike.
And I explained to them, I go, you guys need to warm your batteries at least 80. Running temperature is 84 to 106. You need, as a racer, we like 100 degrees, period. We like to see.
Now, what about storage and stuff like that?
That's crazy to hear. I was just going to say, I'm sorry to cut you off, Zach, but I was just going to say, with the storage of these things, we live here, and ever since I've moved to Vegas or been in a hot climate, these batteries in my garage, poof.
Yep.
Like instantaneously. If I leave it in there for a couple of days, and we're only talking about temperatures above 100. Right. So I know that if I leave that thing in the car or something, it might catch the car on fire. We're going to get into that too. And but the temperature storage-wise,
it needs to be 75. That's hard to do. That's why a lot of people use the fridge because they have one in the garage.
Yes.
Right.
Or I tell people to bring them in the house.
I keep all my batteries in the house just because it's a cold, dry
Despite
place,
what some people say, lipos don't catch fire on their own. If they do, it's because they were crashed and they were internally shorting, and it just took time for it to catch
Eventually
fire.
something happened.
I tell people you can keep them a ceramic flower pot will contain anything that catches fire inside there. Just
now, what about lipo bags? I know everyone kind of
I don't
gripes
like
on
them.
those.
I don't like them.
Okay.
I never really liked them either.
When I'm charging, when you're charging a battery, you should be there from the first place. And if you're there before a battery goes up, it puffs up, and then it hisses, then it catches fire. So if you're there, you can glance over, you see your battery starting to swell, you know to unplug it.
Right.
If it's in the bag, you'll never know it until it catches fire. Once it does catch fire, the bag just redirects the flames out this edge. It doesn't hold the flames inside.
It's going to come out either way.
I charge on a piece of tile. I use a piece of 18 by 18 tile to charge the battery on, so if fire did happen, it won't catch the bench. And I just make sure I'm at least 2 feet away from anything that could catch fire. You just got to be smarter than the battery and not charge it in a way where it's next to something that can catch fire.
Right, people's cars. or
yeah,
anything
we're gonna-
like that.
You know,
Talk about
you want to
that right
walk
now.
away from charging battery, fine. Have it in something where if it catches fire, it doesn't cause no damage, but other than some smoke, from the fire.
Right.
That's the biggest safety tips you need to plug in your balance your leads when you charge. I see people, I don't balance charge every time. You're not balance charging when you fast charge. You plug in the balancer in because it reads the battery's voltages, and if one gets off, it turns the charger off. It's
In
a
case
safety
one
thing.
cell is too high,
Yeah,
it won't overcharge that cell.
Yeah,
That's
the
gonna
good
be a
chargers
potential fire.
will terminate charge and not let the battery catch fire in the first place. But it can only do that if the balance lead's plugged in.
Now that's one of the things that I hear with some of the drone guys is the fat sharks. And they go to plug their balance port in the fat sharks, and it's actually not a balance port from my understanding with the fat shark batteries. And
It should be.
and
It should be 2 cells in there. That's on my Fat Shark. I got the one round connector that I power.
right.
There's some batteries, the UMX batteries. They don't have a balance lead. They just have a one plug with 3 wires. Those chargers that charge those batteries, they balance off that. It's a balance charger design for the UMX plug.
Okay.
So that's the only battery that doesn't come with a balance lead hanging off it.
Now
All batteries should have balance leads. You should always plug them in regardless.
I know to balance your packs. I've learned this right when I got into the lipo technology stuff, because you would see the differences. If you ran that pack for 5 runs, your balance, if you're just fast charging or quick, just charging and not balancing, you would see one cell drop off or be higher than the other.
Yep.
And that balancer
And
always is going
that's
to make them
normal.
correct.
Up to 0.05 or less is normal industry standard okay. So if you got 385 and 387, you're an industry standard.
Yeah.
If you got 385 and 391, now you're 0.06 or higher, that constitutes out of balance pack. You can fix that by letting the charger try to do it and balance it really slow. Don't try to charge fast. If you're trying to fix a bad pack, charge half amp.
Yeah, I was going to say half an amp or 1 amp.
And if it brings all the cells up to balance, leave it for 24 hours. If the bad cell is truly bad, it will drop its voltage.
It'll fall off.
It'll fall off again, and you'll have an out of balance pack. If the pack's good, it'll hold its voltage.
Okay.
And if you got an out of balance pack, you can run it, but just know that it's going to be the first one that goes dead. So you got to run it short, or it becomes a garage battery. It becomes a bench pack for setting stuff up.
Got a few of those, right?
Yeah, and that's what I do with them. Once the pack's bad, it's not worth it to keep running it.
Right. Because you can fall out and all of that stuff.
You
Now,
know, 0.06 that's technically an unbalanced battery, but it's not a dangerous. When they get a half a volt difference, I would never run a battery that's a half a volt off on one cell.
That's a problem.
Puffing is okay if it's soft puffing, and then there's hard puffing. Hard puffing's bad. Don't run it. Hard puffing, we call it a sausage. It looks like a sausage. It'll be round.
There's 2 different
good.
gases inside that thing? Is that
No,
what's
it
happening?
off-gas too much.
Okay, so that's
The
why it gets
off-gassing
hard.
it's just too much. It's ready. It's a bad battery. Don't.
Now I know a lot of people are now charging in parallel, and they got a lot of these parallel chargers out there. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but we've recently here in the community have had somebody's car catch on fire. Now I don't know. I didn't
It's a
talk
bad
to them.
thing.
I didn't know. I don't know if they were charging in parallel or not. But a lot of people, they have a lot of these batteries that are flying these quads and racing in RC cars too.
Yep.
But they have a lot of batteries to charge all at one time, and they're using these parallel boards.
The
and they're
parallel
not
boards,
balancing.
they're not, and that's the bad part. You're rolling the dice.
I don't understand how that even
Today's
works.
batteries are a lot better than they used to be. They don't catch fires like they used to. They're a lot better than they used to be. But you're right, they don't check the balance.
So
And
this
you have to be there
Yeah.
watching and looking. The first thing the battery's going to do when it goes bad is it's going to start puffing, and you're going to see one of them starting to get fat.
Now we can get your website information. Where can we get your product so we make sure we get some good quality product?
DinogyLipos.com.
And we have a Facebook too that we
I have
can.
Dinogy Lipos on Facebook,
Okay.
and Dinogy Mark on Instagram.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time and coming out here, and we hope to hear from you soon. And
Yeah,
we wish you all
Be
the
glad
best.
to come back. You guys get more questions.
Oh, definitely.
My phone number. I love to help people. I've been in the hobby my whole life. I love helping people solve their problems, figure out what'll work for them. I'm pretty good at helping with that. For you locals, I have people come bring their planes over to see if batteries will fit.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah, let's see
I-
if this size fits in here before I buy a bunch of those.
Helping
That's good.
customers with theirs is the fun part for me.
Absolutely.
That's fun for me, helping people. And
The most awesomest thing is that you're a local person here in town, and we're lucky to have you here on the show today. And
Thank you.
for being here with us, Mark.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Have a good one.
All right, thank you, guys.
Well, thanks for watching. Make sure to tune in next time. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and we'll be back soon.
Thank you.